Hello, all you Ableton people out there. Hello to the new subscribers and to the ones who've been with me since my first release. Hello, hello, hello. I have a new device to share with you today. So my last couple devices were instruments, but today I have an audio effect to show you. And it was inspired by Radiohead performances in the early 2000s, around the time that Kid A came out. Essentially, Jonny Greenwood, the guitar player, would sample little bits of Thom's vocals with a Korg Kaoss Pad and then manipulate them in real time, stretch them, repitch them, just turn his vocals into an instrument of sorts. And I always loved that sound. And when I was performing live electronic music where I was singing, I played around with various ways to do the same thing in Ableton Live. My most successful technique was using a beat repeat, turning on the repeat button, and then playing with the various controls. But it always felt like it could be done better. So in honor of this beautiful technique from Jonny Greenwood and others, I've made a device that does exactly this, and it's called Redwood. I think this has applications both for live use and for just playing around with sounds in your studio. There's a pattern with the devices I've been releasing over this last year. They're really all about finding new sounds and new inspiration. So let's get into this. Now, this is Redwood here. On the left, we have some basic recording controls. We've got a play button, which I recommend you just leave on until you need to stop a loop. Then we've got a record button. The record button does have some basic quantization built in. Whenever you press it, it'll start recording on the next beat. We've got a button to clear whatever was recorded into the looper previously. And we've got a reverse button because that's just a nice thing to have. And then below this, we've got a through control. So if this is turned on, you'll hear the audio that's being sent into this device alongside the loop you record. And if it's off, you'll just hear your loop. Then down here, we've got a visual representation of whatever you've just recorded. And then we've got a control here to choose how long of a loop you want to record. And so rather than set this in bars, I've opted to use beats here because I think that this effect is particularly nice with short bits of audio. Personally, I love how it sounds with just 1 or 2 beats worth of audio. So half a bar or a quarter of a bar, but hey, whatever makes you happy. If you leave the play button turned on, the loop will begin playing as soon as the recording has stopped, which again for live use I think is the way to go. And then to the right, we've got this big, somewhat esoteric pad. It responds to X and Y values, pretty much the same thing as a Kaoss Pad. Now, you can play this with your mouse or a trackpad, no problem, as I'm doing now. But I've also set it up out of the box to map the X to your MIDI keyboard's mod wheel and the Y to your keyboard's pitch bend control. Now, if you've got one of these little MPK mini keyboards from Akai, the mod wheel and pitch bend just happen to be a 4-way joystick control, which translates perfectly to this device. And if you have separate mod and pitch bend wheels, you'll just play the device a little differently, but these controls are mapped right out of the box. And then if you prefer some other controls on your MIDI controller to affect this XY pad, I've added these little X and Y knobs at the bottom here, and you can just map whatever physical dials, sliders, what have you, to these 2 little guys, and you're good to go. Or if you're like Skrillex and you don't need some fancy keyboard, controller, whatever, then you can just go ahead and use your mouse, and I think you can still get really nice results. Okay, a bit of a ramble. Dogs are barking outside, but onwards. So the X plane, left to right, it controls the length of the loop. All the way to the left, you're going to hear the entire loop you recorded. And as you move to the right, around the middle, you're going to hear a halved version of your audio mixed in with the original length. And then as you move a bit further to the right, that original loop will fade out, and you'll only hear that halved version. And then as you get to the end, you're going to hear a much smaller snippet, more like a quarter of the original loop that you recorded. And then for the Y plane, up and down, we've got pitch shifting, combined with a touch of bit reduction. This is sort of modeled after some of my earlier devices like Ambi, where the bits are reduced a bit as you shift higher and lower, and it kind of gives a feeling of the way the fidelity of something recorded on tape is going to change as you get to more extreme values. And then also the pitch shifts not just through every available semitone, which can often sound bad, but in musical degrees. I've opted for fourths, which means that there's a very good chance that the sample is going to sound, quote, good as you shift it up and down in the context of your song. And this was, of course, inspired by the Chase Bliss Mood pedal, which has a very similar pitch shifting algorithm, which I love. And then the X-Plane also rolls off a little bit of the highs as you get near the right side, but only a little bit. So I'll just record a little bit in. I've got a loop playing in the background here, and I've got through turned off, so we can just grab a little chunk. And we'll move to the right. And all the way. And then up. And reverse. And we'll grab a new chunk. Let's grab another one. So that's the gist. I think a nice way to play this live is to map some key or button to the record button, and then just have whatever controls you like for the XY pad. And that's really all you need. As you sing, you just grab a little tiny chunk of the vocal, and then you manipulate away. To go further, you could map another key or button to the reverse control to be able to manipulate that, and map a dial or slider to this gain over here, which just affects the loop's volume, so you can kind of fade the effect in and out along with the song, especially if you're singing live as well. I hope you find this useful. It's an effect that I love, and I like that this device is pretty simple to use. It has a lot of various sweet spots, and I hope you find some inspiration. While I made this device with vocals in mind, I also found some pretty interesting results using drum loops and synth bits. I'll say it again too, I appreciate you so much for even watching this far into this video. I am absolutely full of gratitude to the return customers who've stuck with me, purchasing these devices, sending nice notes, sending beautiful songs they've created with some of my devices. You are truly supporting my life, my small family. Our little dude is officially a toddler now. He's the absolute best. He's obsessed with tractors, and it's so lovely that I get to be home with him and my wife and not miss a single one of his antics. So truly, thank you. You are great. You are appreciated. I've got more stuff coming. Stay tuned. If you celebrate some sort of December holiday, let me say Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Festivus to you and to yours. Talk soon. Peace.